Welcome to Engineered for Impact, a show helping engineers learn and think more about how they can have a positive social impact with their careers. This show is a project of High Impact Engineers, a nonprofit seeking to increase the quantity of impactful work done by physical engineers around the globe. We do this by providing a community for impact-oriented engineers, making connections to impactful organizations, and by providing resources to help engineers learn more about how they can have an impact. So this podcast is one of those resources. I'm your host, Sean Lawrence. A bit of background on me. I completed undergraduate degrees in mechanical engineering and commerce before going on to do my PhD in aerospace engineering at Monash University here in Melbourne, Australia. My PhD was an experimental fluid mechanics investigation of surface roughness and the wake behind submerged objects. After completing my PhD, I helped to co-found High Impact Engineers alongside Jessica Wen, who will be joining me from time to time on the podcast. We decided to start the podcast for two main reasons. Firstly, over the past year, we've met with a number of engineers, and one thing that we've heard again and again is a desire to see more examples of engineers who are out there in the world doing impactful work. So this podcast is a way for us to bring those engineers into the spotlight so that others can learn from them. I think many of us want to increase the amount of impact that we can have with our careers, but find it really difficult to figure out where to start and what path to take. So I think it's helpful to hear from different people who have taken a broad range of paths to increasing their impact. It's really highlighted to me that there isn't just one way of increasing your impact, and that there is a community of engineers out there who are seeking to change the world for the better. So the second reason we started the podcast is to share our research process with you. So as part of the work we're doing at High Impact Engineers, we are continuously talking to experts and engineers to better understand the landscape of opportunities for engineers to do impactful work. So by bringing you these conversations in the format of a podcast, we're able to get the information to you quicker, as well as showcasing some of the interesting individuals that we get to talk to. The episodes will typically be longer form conversations with engineers or subject matter experts, and occasionally Jess will be joining me on the podcast to discuss the research and projects that we're doing at High Impact Engineers. We'll be releasing the podcast as a traditional audio podcast as well as a video podcast on YouTube. So you've got a couple of options for how you want to listen to or watch the show. We'll also be posting show notes on the website at engineeredforimpact.show. You're probably already very familiar with how to support podcasts and YouTube videos. So it's suffice to say that all the typical good things like leaving reviews on your preferred podcasting platform or subscribing and leaving comments on the YouTube videos are just as applicable to this podcast. Also, just sharing an episode with a friend or a colleague is also great. We are a little different in a few ways though. Firstly, since we're a community-based organization, we want to know who you want to hear from on the podcast. They don't have to be engineers necessarily, but if they've got interesting things to say about topics that engineers would be interested in, then we'd love to know about them. So there's a form on engineeredforimpact.show for you to suggest a guest. Secondly, we want to hear your feedback about any of the episodes or the general format of the podcast. So we've got feedback forms on the show notes pages for each of the episodes. And finally, because Engineered for Impact is brought to you by High Impact Engineers, a foundation organized in the USA, we are able to accept donations if you would like to support the show financially. So there's a bunch of ways you can support the podcast depending on your preferences, and we would greatly appreciate your support in any format. That's all you really need to know for now. I've greatly enjoyed every single conversation I've had for the podcast. I've personally got a lot of value out of the conversations, and I hope that you find them just as interesting, engaging, and informative as I did. That's it from me. Thanks for listening, and happy problem solving.